The pier at Briny Cove was still creaking awake when the new lifeguard set up his station on the morning of the town's annual Sand and Sun extravaganza. From a distance, he looked almost ordinary. Red trunks, whistle, first aid kit. Only when he hoisted a beach umbrella the size of a circus tent did the onlookers swivel their heads. Matte black fabric, silver brocade edging, and stitched in Gothic script. SPF 1000 because a long time. His name, at least the one on the municipal payroll, was Wade Van Dusk III. Though certain court documents in Transylvania suggested Count Vladislav of House Velociraptor, Regent of Sanguine Falls, Earl of something unpronounceable, Wade insisted people call him Chip. No one risked asking why. He had taken the job for two reasons. One, centuries of hoarding castle rent had not prepared him for 21st century property taxes, and two, the Night Council sentenced him to 200 hours of community daylight service for double parking a hearse in a red zone. Lifeguarding, he reasoned, came with built-in heroic credit. Also, the vantage point allowed prime people watching purely for sociological curiosity, of course. The problem, naturally, was the sun. One ray could flambe him like a chicken wing, hence the umbrella. Bolted into a lifeguard chair modified to resemble a Renaissance siege tower. Arrow slits, retractable awnings, and a misting system that spritzed Factor Infinity sunblock every 7 minutes. The contraption hummed, hissed, and smelled faintly of coconut and brimstone. By 8 o'clock, vacationers carpeted the sand, families pitching tents, retirees in wide-brimmed hats, Instagrammers posing with inflatable unicorns. Chip surveyed the scene through polarized sunglasses powerful enough to filter UV, garlic essence, and small talk about Bitcoin. He spoke into a headset that patched into his support crew, a pair of fellow night dwellers hiding in the shade of the snack shack. Carmilla handled paperwork, Igor Jr. handled heavy lifting, and both handled sarcasm. The first crisis struck at 9:04 a.m. A toddler waddled seaward, trailing a rubber duck. Chip zoomed in with binoculars. The tide pulled the child knee-deep. A rogue wave rose like a wall. Instinct screamed, leap, sprint, dive. Physics countered, sunlight equals sizzle. Thinking fast, Chip yanked a lever marked emergency clip. A canvas awning shot out 20 feet, casting a mobile shadow down the sand like a giant batwing. He skittered crabwise under its moving shade, arriving just in time to pluck the child out of the foam. Applause erupted. Sunbathers offered him lemonade, declined, and selfie requests ignored. Local reporter Margot Weeks scurried over, pen ready. Incredible rescue. What's the secret to your speed? Chip flashed a smile carefully measured to hide any suggestion of fang. Cardio, he said, and accountability apps. Is that an accent? Jersey, the old one, she scribbled. And how does your rather dramatic umbrella stay up in the wind? Grim determination and ground stakes, he answered, deciding unholy runes and vampire spit might complicate permit renewals. The morning rolled on. Crisis 2. A fraternity challenged the volleyball net's tensile strength. When it collapsed, tangling players like marionettes, Chip deployed the Shadow Drone, an umbrella-topped quadcopter that hovered, casting shade while he disentangled limbs. Crisis 3. A flock of seagulls dive-bombed picnics. Chip whipped out a whistle tuned to the frequency of vampire bats. The birds panicked and formed an orderly evacuation, confusing everyone but solving the problem. By noon, rumors were flying. Some claimed the new lifeguard was an avant-garde dermatologist demonstrating extreme sun-safe practices. Others thought he was a movie star shooting an undercover role. Baywatch, Seventh, Stakeout. A gaggle of teenagers debated whether to ask for autographs. They settled for TikTok footage. Chip's umbrella, backed by a sea breeze, billowed regally. The silver brocade gleamed. His skin, slathered in a paste that looked like moonlight mashed with Elmer's glue, remained unwaveringly alabaster. Lunch break, Carmilla's voice crackled through his earpiece. I've blended your typo smoothie. Chip grimaced. Add kale, so it looks like a health drink. Humans freak if the cup's translucent. All they saw was Igor licking the straw. That definitely doesn't help. At 12:32, the megaphone for the Sandcastle Showdown crackled to life. Contestants hauled buckets, shovels, and architectural blueprints. Among them was a local dentist, Dr. Paula Whitby, brandishing carrot sticks as scale models. Chip admired her enthusiasm from a distance, dentists being the only profession more obsessed with incisors than vampires. Just then, a scream cleaved the air. A man in neon trunks thrashed 30 yards offshore. Rip current! Chip snapped to action, but sunlight flared across the water like a million flashbulbs. Going in person meant instant flambés. He cursed modern sentencing guidelines. Plan B, he signaled Igor. The hulking assistant lumbered out, wearing an inflatable orca floaty and an expression of existential dread. Chip hurled him a rescue can tied to a 100-foot Kevlar rope. Igor galloped through the shallows, veered into deeper water with surprising grace, and reached the man. The crowd gasped at the spectacle, a pale muscle giant in a kiddie floaty towing a drowning tourist while a goth lifeguard worked the rope from under a colossal umbrella. Spectacular, yet OSHA-compliant. When the survivor coughed out half the Atlantic, Chip delivered a standard safety lecture. Swim parallel to shore, respect posted flags, never challenge Poseidon to arm wrestle. Applause again. Someone tried to hand him a medal fashioned from a bottle cap and dental floss. He thanked them, fearing contact with silver, and tucked it gingerly into a hazard-marked pouch. Afternoon doldrums approached, that sticky hour when families nap and the sun sizzles brains into flip-flop stew. Carmilla manned the sunglass kiosk as cover. Igor napped inside a sand trench labeled, "Do not backfill." Chip monitored vital signs with thermal goggles that turned living bodies into heat signatures, useful to confirm warm, breathing, not undead. He logged each status into a clipboard shaped like a coffin lid. Around 2:15 p.m., the parade of vendors arrived. Ice cream, snow cones, and alarmingly fresh garlic knots. A zealous pizzeria owner carried a tray straight under Chip's umbrella for a promotional selfie. The sudden aromatic assault scorched Chip's nostrils. He recoiled, knocking over a cooler of chilled saline he used to keep from desiccating. A dash of salted Santa cream was enough. He had recently vomited. Booms. The waitress stopped putting down her menu. Reflex took over. His eyes flared crimson behind the Oakleys. Thunder rumbled, though the sky was cloudless. Vendors staggered back, parasols trembled. Then Chip coughed, forced a smile, and blamed severe Allison allergy. He offered coupon codes for antihistamine as a peace gesture. The pizzeria guy apologized, baffled but too polite to argue with ocular thunderstorms. A wave of exhaustion washed over Chip. Sunlight still slanted fiercely, despite layers of umbrellas and factor infinity. He dabbed perspiration technically, condensation from internal refrigeration off his brow. Glancing clear of onlookers, he slipped a blood popsicle from a hidden freezer bag. Cherry Red Cross label. Donate responsibly. 1 lick restored vitality, 2 licks risked fang reveal, so he limited himself. Meanwhile, kids dug moats around sandcastles. One boy named Max, an inventor type wielding a juice box like a beaker, decided his castle needed a drawbridge. He tethered it to the cord of his mother's portable vacuum, repurposing suction as a moat-draining mechanism. The contraption short-circuited, flinging wet sand in a 6-foot radius and burying the family terrier up to his ears. The dog's howls harmonized with Mac's shrieked apology. Chip spotted the fiasco. He flipped a toggle on his chair. Miniature conveyor belts deployed, ferrying shovels, towels, and a battery-powered leaf blower. He remained under shade, orchestrating the dig like a pale conductor of a sandy symphony. Within minutes, terrier freed, moat redug, drawbridge replaced by ethically sourced popsicle sticks, parental disaster averted. Margot Weeks reappeared, camera now in tow. I'm doing a feature, Unconventional Heroes of Briny Cove. Mind a few questions? Chip evaluated sun angle. Safe umbrellas. Umbra's still generous. Shoot. Where did you train? The Carpathian Swim Club, he answered truthfully. She assumed it was European and exclusive. What does SPF 1000 even mean? It means, Chip said, deadpan, if the sun itself plummets to Earth, I might get a mild pinkness. Her eyes sparkled with quotable gold. Best rescue tip in one sentence? Stay cool, stay in shade, stay alive long enough to read the warning signs. Behind them, Carmilla mimed gagging. Chip signed back in ancient runic shorthand. Give the journalists nothing but wholesome cliches. By 3:30, clouds finally rolled in, providing momentary bliss. Chip exhaled, unaware he'd been holding breath since dawn, but nature notices irony. Lightning means lifeguard, protocols. He radioed fellow day shift guards down the beach, reminding them to clear water if thunder followed within 30 seconds of flash. Right on cue, a boom rippled. People sprinted for towels. A teenage girl clutched her phone, wailing that she'd lost the perfect golden hour lighting. Chip guided her towards shelter, promising filters could replicate anything. Rain, however, never came. The clouds parted like curtains, revealing that particular late afternoon blaze which photographers worship and vampires dread. Shadows shortened. Umbrella acreage shrank. Chip recalculated angles. 10 feet of safe zone would dwindle to 5, then 2, then 0. He texted Carmilla. Sunset ETA 2H. Umbrella meltdown imminent. She replied with a bat emoji in the phrase, Plan Shade Quake. Plan Shade Quake was an experimental idea. Summon so many normal umbrellas that their overlapping shadows formed a patchwork canopy from chair to boardwalk. Carmilla bribed vendors with free raffle tickets to a mystery midnight cruise. Within minutes, beachgoers hoisted loaner umbrellas, queuing along the sand like dominoes. Color splashed everywhere, polka dots, pineapples, corporate logos reading, Buy Nocho. The chain extended, each guest stepping precisely so their umbrella overlapped the previous shade. Chip marched beneath the moving corridor, saluting volunteers like a general of parasols, until he reached the concrete pavilion, safe from UV. Cheers followed. A little girl presented him with a friendship bracelet. He accepted, silently thankful it was braided yarn, not silver. Inside the pavilion, he debriefed Carmilla and Igor, who recorded rescue stats on a scroll of parchment. Old habits die hard. Chip checked a mirror to ensure no unexpected rays had marred his complexion. The glass reflected only the snack bar menu, because he cast no reflection, but the absence of smoke or screaming suggested he was intact. Dusk inched closer. The Sandcastle showdown reached judging. Dr. Whitby's fortress boasted floss drawbridges and molar turrets. Max's repaired castle featured the world's first moat, powered by a juice box hydroelectric plant. The mayor, wearing a sash that read "Sun's Out, Fun Out," approached Chip. "Son, you've done the Cove proud. Ever consider full-time?" Chip thought, full-time daylight? Risky, but free beach housing? Tempting. He stalled. "I'm seeing how my schedule shakes out. Very freelance lifestyle." The mayor clapped his shoulder. "If you need anything, holler. Except maybe a night shift. Budget's tight there." "Wouldn't dream of it," Chip said, silently rejoicing. Nighttime was his domain anyway. At 5:47 p.m., the final crisis arrived like a badly written soap twist. A rogue kite, shaped like a killer whale, escaped its string, dove toward the ocean, and spooked a pod of dolphins near shore. The dolphins, panicked, herded surfers toward a sandbar where a submerged rock jutted inches below the surface, a nasty, skull-smacking hazard, Chip assessed. Sun still above horizon, no corridor of umbrellas reaching water. No time for Igor flotation stunt, he was at the snack bar inhaling funnel cake. Only one option, the prototype SPF 1000 cloak, a shimmering cape woven of reflective threads and sunscreen microbeads rumored to grant 90 seconds of solar immunity. He'd passed small-scale tests on lab rats and one overly adventurous raccoon. Human-sized vampire unknown. He fastened the cloak, draped hood, checked for coverage. Carmilla looked ready to faint from worry or because she hadn't eaten since 2 a.m. 90 seconds, she warned. Plenty, he lied, setting a silent countdown on his wristwatch. He burst from pavilion, cape blazing like a disco ball, sprinted across sand, vaulted over an abandoned cooler, and hit surf at full throttle. The shrieks from onlookers mingled with his own internal monologue. Tick, tick, tick. Surfboarders tumbled. Dolphins chirped. Chip reached the sandbar precisely as a teenager lost her footing. He scooped her to piggyback, whistled underwater at a frequency dolphins understood, guiding them away from the rock. 70 seconds. He signaled surfers to paddle perpendicular to current. He shoved one board clear of collision. He grabbed the rogue kite line with preternatural agility and severed it using a seashell sharpened like a scythe. 85 seconds. Sun licked his ears. He felt the burn like standing too close to a pizza oven that wanted you for toppings. He plunged underwater, cooler in shadow, buying precious ticks. 92 seconds. Imperceptible sizzling on fingertips. He emerged, dashed shoreward, cloak flapping steam. Beachgoers parted like salmon before a grizzly, except this grizzly was wearing SPF 1000 and muttering in ancient Dacian. He crossed beneath the first volunteer umbrella at second 99. Carmilla dumped a bucket of aloe-infused ice over him. Steam hissed. Applause thundered. A tourist yelled, "Do it again!" Chip collapsed into a siege tower chair, heart still technically inert, pounding phantom beats. Cloak smoked gently, having fulfilled its singular destiny. He gave it a respectful pat. It disintegrated into glittery dust. "Limited edition," he sighed. Sunset finally dipped below the skyline at 6:23 p.m. Colors bled across clouds. Blood orange, he salivated. Vermilion, nostalgic. And crimson, classic. Night breeze cooled the heated sand. Families packed, surfers high-fived him. Dolphins performed synchronized leaps, as if choreographed by karma. Margot Weeks cornered him again, hair wind-tussled, eyes aflame with story of her career. "You raced into sunlight that would fry any dermis and save those kids. What drives you?" Chip considered. Honesty? Too soon. Deflection? Too boring. He settled on half-truth. Everyone deserves a chance to see tomorrow, even if tomorrow requires 1,000 layers of shade. She nodded, misty-eyed. Inspirational? The crowd dispersed. Floodlights clicked on, painting silver ripples across to the dark water. Night people emerged, stargazers, crab hunters, clandestine spooners. Chip felt his muscles unknot. He hung his whistle on a nail, replaced sunglasses with red-tinted night vision lenses, and let the comfort of celestial darkness wrap around him like a hand-stitched coffin quilt. Igor approached, holding a tray of post-shift refreshments. Vegan nachos for Carmilla, type-negative slushie for Chip, and exactly 9 funnel cakes for himself. They sat, feet in cool sand. Carmilla raised her cup. To community service, hours well spent. Chip clinked plastics. To SPF 1000 and engineering miracles. Igor belched powdered sugar, which everyone interpreted as agreement. Chip gazed at the moon, thoughtful. Protecting mortals was messy, stressful, and perilous to his undead complexion, yet he felt a strange buzz, a warmth not caused by third-degree solar burns, purpose maybe, or pride, or the afterglow of near-fatal heroics. He supposed this was what humans called job satisfaction. He chuckled at the absurdity. A vampire lifeguard, tanning hazard extraordinaire, guarding beachgoers from life's watery fangs while concealing his own. He pictured the DMV line back at the night council signing off his service log. If they only knew he'd invented a new sport. Extreme shade sprinting. The tide whispered secrets, stars winked Morse code, and for the first time in centuries, Chip looked forward to tomorrow's sunrise. Not to greet it, but to outsmart it again. He leaned back, hands behind his head, and bared his teeth at the night wide, white, and beautifully dangerously alive.